I'd like to welcome the Island Getaways Travel Tribe and my fellow USC alumni. Thank you for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. We are going to be previewing real possibilities in Europe, a different itinerary than we have discussed in previous webinars. If you've been with us before, this is number 7 in the series about cruise tours, river cruise tours. And today we are going to be going back to Europe, talking about the lovely areas between Amsterdam, Germany, Luxembourg, and into the Champagne region of France. So I am Jacintha Perera, the owner and founder of Island Getaways. I am one of your co-hosts. My other co-host is Brian Rademacher, who is a business manager with AMA Waterways. He has a wealth of experience in the travel industry with both river cruising and ocean cruising. He's worked for several major companies in his career. And we're back together with you again today to take you on a virtual vacation, a preview of what is actually possible for you to see and do and experience. So I'm going to let Brian get started. He's going to be the pilot, and I'm going to be his co-pilot. Take it away, Brian.
All right, cleared for takeoff. Thank you, Jacintha. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all again, and thank you, Jacintha, for the nice introduction. And Jacintha holds a record, actually, both last year and this year. I've done, gosh, over 200 of these virtual events. That's right, the world we've been living in. So these, which we can't wait to get back out, obviously, in the real world for sure. Which is good news on that front coming any moment. But nonetheless, Jacintha holds the record, which I'm very happy to say, for doing the biggest number of webinars, series of webinars, which it's a cool thing because it's at 7. I've had some at 4 and 5, but at 6 you were holding the record, and now you've got gold medals. So there's nobody gonna catch you, Jacintha. So thank you for inviting AMA Waterways. And yes, we're going to do a little presentation here today that's on a little bit of a different itinerary on a river that maybe not all of you are familiar with, but that's great. That's what we're going to do. A couple housekeeping items. There is the question box there. I always mention it. You can type in your questions. We'll get to those towards the end. And yeah, we'd like to be interactive, and so type away. And then I'm going to send Jacintha 2 different video formats that she'll then post. And feel free to share the video with friends, colleagues, etc., so that they may have interest as well. So those are the 2 housekeeping notes. Real quickly, I'll tell you too that we have a meeting. The company has a meeting today, the salespeople at 2 o'clock, and the working title is getting back out there. So, meaning that we're going to be leaving our office confines and actually starting to go out, and maybe I'll even get a chance to go meet with Jacintha at some point. Because congratulations, Jacintha, she's 2 weeks today beyond her second vaccine, her second Moderna, so she's all ready, set, and to go. And then tomorrow we have a town hall with the whole company, and we're going to get the real lowdown, the real skinny, because you may have noticed the EU came out with an announcement a couple days ago that they're opening up, the 27 EU countries are opening up to vaccinated folks from countries like America. So knock wood that we're going to be announcing when we're getting back on the rivers. Okay, so enough of that. So let's go ahead and dive into the presentation here. Vineyards of the Rhine and the Moselle. The French say Moselle, the Germans call it the Mosel and spell it a little differently. But this itinerary is relatively new. And we actually are talking about a specific departure date later this year in the fall, thus the beautiful fall colors, October 26th to November 2nd. And the Ama Lucia is a brand new ship, right, that's debuting this year. She's already built, already done. She hasn't cruised, obviously, so she'll get some cruises in, and then we'll welcome you on her later this fall. But that picture is absolutely beautiful. No question. Did you want to add something, Jacintha?
Yes, we are talking about a specific date at the end of October this year. I have talked to some of you individually about this date and this itinerary, but I understand that some of you may not be comfortable traveling this year, so I wanted to add that this itinerary is available in 2022 and 2023 as well, but it is on select dates. It doesn't run every week. It does run about once a month between April and October. So there are specific dates for this specific itinerary, which is a 7-night river cruise, and it can be combined with a pre-land segment in Amsterdam, capital of the Netherlands, and then combined with a post-cruise land segment into France, into the Champagne region, and ending up in Paris. So it can be either a 1-week river cruise or extended out with the travel days to approximately 2 weeks as a river cruise tour, which is a combination of cruise and land.
Indeed. Thank you for that. And Jacintha mentions 23, and that is correct. Our books are open all the way through the end of 2023. And actually, you know, with the announcement the EU made, we expect people who've maybe been sitting on the fence to really consider now jumping in with both feet, with the EU welcoming vaccinated tourists. There's Jacintha's contact info there, her phone number, and we'll put this up again towards the end, and her email address. And there I am in spiffier days. I think that was my Photoshop picture from when I got hired several years ago, 4 years ago. And again, thank you for coming out today. We're so appreciative. Show us just evocative in the sense that obviously rivers take you right through the countries, to the heart of Europe. We like to say the veins of Europe. That's what the rivers are, to literally the heart of Europe, and really a wonderful way to experience traveling through Europe on these lovely sort of boutique hotels where you only unpack once, and these beautiful towns and villages and cities come to you, and you're always within a stone's throw of a given port of call. Also, you're always within a given country's boundaries, obviously, too. So there's several certainly different things that we do on the rivers. It's similar to ocean that we're on water, but that's basically where the similarities end as we take you through these wonderful areas. We like to call ourselves, if you will, the heart of the river. That's sort of our new tagline these days. I like that because the word ama comes from the Latin root amare, or to love. And I'm going to actually show you a little quick video here, so bear with me as I do that. Okay, let's play the video.
Step aboard a world of exceptional experiences, where your journey is our passion. Allow us to share villages that time forgot. Walk along cobblestone streets filled with the lights. Paddle through historic town squares and revel in moments that last a lifetime. When you step aboard Ama Waterways, each day brings a genuine smile that warms the heart. Every river a new culture that inspires, and each course a moment to savor and share. Experience these wonders and delights with Ama Waterways, the heart of the river.
All right. Can you see the screen, Jacintha? I'm always double checking after the video. Can
yes,
you see?
it's back. Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Co-pilot says yes.
Good deal. Thank you. So I'm not going to read the bullet points to you. You can peruse those for yourself in terms of the brand truths, the marketing truths, the what do we bring to the table? What do we promise to deliver to you? Well, it's all these things here, right? And, you know, I'll highlight a couple of them. And obviously the ships are beautiful, and they really are. But that fourth one down, the crew, right? It's the software, if you will. The hardware's nice, but the software that's what keeps people coming back to our product, is just the truly exceptional crew, as it says there. No question about that. You're going to love the cuisine. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Also, in terms of the level of hygiene and cleanliness, that's just something we've always practiced. but we talk about it more now, and we'll again highlight that here in a little bit as well. Complimentary Wi-Fi, we spend more on Wi-Fi and broadband than we do on fuel. So you're going to be well off as it relates to internet, and bring your handheld devices because we have our own app as well. In any event, wonderful things that we bring to the table as to why come with us. Another reason, we had the experience, the only North American brand last year, we got to operate on the Rhine River, right? 58 ships, 57 European ships. We were the only North American brand on the river, and that was through a German charter company, or chartered with us. It's a company, Ehoy, a tour operator, and so we operated on the Rhine from early July into mid-November. So it says their successful operating experience, and the way we define success is, number one, and this is the design intent certainly, but we had no cases of COVID, none, zero, which is great, cruising for 4.5 months with around 1,700 guests. And then the other thing that was very successful is then putting into practice the protocols, the health and safety protocols. So now bringing that forward, and how much that will continue this year when we start up again, we're not sure because the goalposts change weekly. But having had the experience last year in implementing all those things, if we need to do all those things again, we've had the experience, right? It's better to have been, in the game, if you will. So that's important to mention.
Well, this is a very important point because, as we all know, ocean cruises have not been operating for over a year. They are looking at restarting next month in June, but river cruises with AMA have been successfully operated in 2020. We're talking about last year. So they are experienced, and they will be moving forward with the same type of health and safety protocols in place. So you can feel confident that this will operate, and they've already been very experienced with those procedures. The other thing to keep in mind is that the river boats are much, much smaller than ocean-going cruise vessels. Typically, it's more like, as Brian said, a boutique hotel. It's like your floating hotel that takes you on the river through the landscape, and you're talking about a maximum of 100 to about approximately 150 passengers. We're not talking thousands, we're talking a very small number of people, right. And we're talking about having access to open decks, stepping off into locations. You're not out on open water at all. So it's a very different experience. And as he had mentioned, meals are included, beverages are included. One other point I want to make is that unlike ocean cruises, all of the port activities, tours, and experiences are included each day. Yeah. And you have a choice of what you would like to do in each location. If you want to enjoy some free time, you're free to do that as well. But those are included for you already.
Indeed. Thank you for that, Jacintha. And if you want to go just see a little bit more in terms of this topic about traveling with confidence as it relates to our experience last year and what we'll carry forward, you can just go to amawaterways.com/travel-updates, and it's cashed out more there for you. But suffice it to say that, yes, having had the experience last year is a good thing to bring forward into this year. And then the other thing folks want, along with that peace of mind as far as health and safety protocols, you want flexibility, right? And be able to change your mind. So bottom line is we have different programs for you as it relates to when you make a reservation and then being able to, as it were, change your mind, right? And not suffer serious consequences for doing so. One's called the Ultimate Cruise Flexibility, the other's Travel Waiver Plus. And then bottom line is always get travel insurance. The days of people thinking, I don't need travel, those are over, as we all know. These are just two different ways to augment, if you will, your peace of mind and flexibility as it relates to your investment with us. So that's important to mention, and Jacintha knows about that. And we've used this word boutique, right, or intimate. And river cruising pre-COVID was very much in vogue, very hot, very much desired, and just growing in leaps and bounds. Well, we do think, quite frankly, and as evidenced by the new bookings, not just people moving from this year to next year, but the new bookings, we're seeing that there is going to be, I think, an added sort of luster, if you will, to these smaller vessels, as Jacintha just alluded to, right? Smaller equals good in this case, in terms of what people are attracted to being on smaller vessels that are, again, much more intimate and ease of getting around, et cetera, et cetera. So that's your, and Ama Lucia in this particular instance, what we're talking about, as I say, is a brand new ship, one of our 25 vessels. So this video is going to be a little bit more on this particular itinerary. So I'm going to show this one too, because hopefully you'll like this. So let's play it.
Imagine yourself turning the pages of your very own fairy tale as you glide past the fabled landscapes along Europe's Rhine and Moselle Rivers. With Ama waterways, hike storied hills to romantic castles and charming villages. Taste the sweet nectar from Germany's Rheingau wine region. Pedal through the historic vineyards of the Moselle River Valley. Toast with Kolsch beer in Cologne. Immerse yourself in the colorful Alsace region of France, visiting beautiful Strasbourg and enchanting Rickvier. Be inspired by stunning castles clinging to the edges of riverbanks as you cruise through the breathtaking Rhine Gorge. And wake up each morning to a new city or castle around the bend. It's all waiting for you on an unforgettable Rhine and Moselle River cruise with Ama Waterways.
Indeed. All right.
I actually like
So
to call this
there-
itinerary a castles and cathedrals tour because there are so many different fairy tale castles along
That's
this
right.
route.
Right through here in particular. That's exactly right. So
Yes.
yes, you do have an opportunity to, you'll start in Amsterdam, and we do offer, as Jacintha mentioned, an optional pre-cruise in Amsterdam.
Mhm.
And certainly the other thing to mention is there'll be a cruise manager. The cruise manager who will be on the ship with you will actually be with you at the hotel, which is kind of nice. It's kind of like having your own private concierge, if you will, because they're just there. That is the cruise manager for the Ama Waterways guests, right? And we always use nice properties, breakfast included, and an introductory tour, welcome get together, that type of thing. Ultimately, yes, you wind up in Luxembourg, and maybe that's a country you can check off your list as far as a new country. Not everybody has been to Luxembourg, but you're going to come off the Rhine and go here onto the Moselle. And then, yes, you can do a Paris 3-night post cruise, but there's a new program in the Champagne region, which we'll get to here momentarily and talk about that as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take myself off of camera because I'm going to cheat and look at some notes here because I have to be very candid. I've not done this section yet. I've done here, but I haven't been here, and that's on my list to do along with you folks, which is the Moselle, which I have to tell you, every cruise manager that I've ever asked anecdotally, but with a point in mind to just really get their candid answer, what is their favorite river in Europe? The Moselle is hands down the winner, pretty much every time I ask. And so you'll see pictures. Yeah, it's it's kind of like in your mind's eye what you conjure up the European river to look like. But yes, initially here you're going to start in Amsterdam, world-class city, of course, with gosh, 165 canals, right? That's Amsterdam, certainly known for their canals. And you do have an opportunity to do a little bit of a canal cruise, if you will. But if you haven't been to Amsterdam before, even if you have been, it's always worth visiting again. Certainly, people are inclined to want to go to here, both the Rijksmuseum as well as the Van Gogh Museum, both very much places worth visiting. A little inside tip too, and that is that if you have not been to the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam, that is also one of the most visited destinations. That's when you have to make reservations well in advance, and Jacintha can help you with that, just as again a heads up. Obviously, the Heineken Brewery is nearby as well, so lots of fun things to do in Amsterdam, and of course the Dutch gastronomy. I have the weakness for these stroopwafels, which are kind of literally waffles with kind of caramel, different flavors that are in between the two waffles with syrup, etc. Here's the herring, pickles, and of course the Gouda cheese as well. So you'll enjoy the various things to dine on in the Netherlands. Then you come, the first stop is fabulous Cologne, which is home to one of the most visited sites in all of Germany, was this Gothic cathedral, right? The Cologne Cathedral, which you have a chance to visit, and I highly recommend it. It is a UNESCO designated World Heritage Site. Very, very incredible. And maybe something you might not have known, but the relics of the three wise men, Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, are here in this cathedral. The three wise men from biblical fame, right? So amazing. You also have a chance after the visiting maybe the cathedral to go in a different direction and certainly visit the Kolsch beer hall. Kolsch beer is only made in Cologne, and the Cologne folks, you know, they're very proud of the Kolsch beer. You can have some Rebenkuchen potato pancakes, typically served with apple sauce. There's guided biking tours. I've done a biking tour in and around Cologne that was really quite lovely indeed. And the other thing, the Cologne Cathedral was not very much damaged during World War II, right? So it's not rebuilt. It had a little bit of damage. And part of the reason is these two spires were used by Allied pilots, both British and American, frankly, as navigational aids, if you can believe that. That's the true story of those spires. Then you come to Rudesheim, which is, again, along the Rhine River, and you'll along that way see lots and lots of castles, as you would imagine, and the views are quite amazing. Here in Rudesheim, you have a chance to do a gondola ride in the vineyards, or you can take a little walk through the vineyards. And this is, again, I found a picture that relates to this October, because like where I live here in Petaluma in the fall, the vineyards do change color, so you'll have that experience as well when you visit Rudesheim. And of course, you'll have the opportunity to try some wonderful Rudesheimer coffee, which is quite tasty, of brandy, obviously coffee and whipped cream. Everyone has to have a glass of Rudesheimer coffee. You then come to Mainz, Germany, which is at the confluence of the Main and the Rhine rivers. And you can do a walking tour here. Also, one of the most important churches, it's a Romanesque Cathedral here in Mainz. And in this Romanesque Cathedral, there's another nice picture. Mainz, and this is the Old Town, by the way. You are able to do a nice walking tour through the Old Town. And I'm going to show you another interesting thing you get to do, but the Gutenberg Museum, yes, famed for the 15th century Gutenberg Bible. So you have an opportunity to visit this particular Gutenberg Museum and see the Gutenberg printing press, etc. Really quite fascinating indeed. And this, Marc Chagall, was a Russian Jewish artist, and he was commissioned to do stained glass windows depicting different scriptural scenes in stunning blue. That was what he was commissioned to do. And you will get to go see St. Stephen's Church in Mainz if you're interested and see the Marc Chagall stained glass windows. Really quite fascinating. Then you have an opportunity also here to visit this incredible castle, the Berg Castle. And that's kind of cool to either motor coach up or hike up. And again, instead of just viewing the castles from the river, here you have a chance to actually go and visit this wonderful castle. And then you're cutting off down onto the beautiful Moselle Valley and Moselle River area, and you come to the town of Cochem. Cochem is how they say it, with that little guttural sound. And this is again a real scenic stretch that you'll enjoy before you reach Cochem. But there's half-timbered houses. There's the Reichsburg Castle, which I'll show you in a minute. There's a very famous mustard mill where they make Cochem's famous mustard. So you can do that too. And again, there's always hiking and biking. We have 25 bikes on board. There's always guides with you for the fastest and slowest riders. Also, the fitness instructor on board, the certified fitness instructor, also goes with you. So there's always at least 3 guides with you on the bike tour. And there is that Reichsburg Castle, and you see those half-timbered houses pictured there. I think that's gosh, what an evocative picture there of the Kokum, town of Kokum in that particular area. And then again, this from the fall, you see the sort of serpentine feel of the Moselle. And this is a river too, I should mention, that doesn't see as much commercial traffic. Now, what I mean by that is, well, the Danube and the Rhine, you know, they're like roads, frankly, and they've been roads for many, many years, centuries, where you're going to find commercial traffic as far as freighters and things like that, along with the river cruise ships too. There's less of that for obvious reasons here on the Moselle, because you're going to, again, to an area that's much, much smaller with towns and villages, and so not as much of the commercial traffic. So that's certainly worth mentioning. And then you're also, another beautiful fall picture here, you're going to go to Berg Castle and go to the beautiful old town center, where there are incredible medieval and Renaissance buildings as well. There's a winery visit for wine tasting. And these are some of the steepest vineyards, if not the steepest vineyards in all of Europe. And frankly, this also on the Moselle is the oldest wine growing region in all of Europe, is this Moselle River Valley. This is where the first vineyards in Europe were first planted over 1,000 years ago, right? So you'll have that opportunity as well. And then you come to Luxembourg. That's where you're going to disembark, is in Luxembourg. And as you're heading out of Luxembourg, en route to Paris, you're going to stop at the American Cemetery and Memorial, which is actually the final resting place of General George Patton, who survived the war, but I think he was struck by a Jeep. He died in an ignominious way for sure, but he is buried there in Luxembourg. And then you'll later transfer from Luxembourg to the Champagne region. The area is called, it's spelled R-E-I-M-S, and I thought that was pronounced Reims, but it's actually Reims. In French, it's Reims. And here you'll check into your hotel. Now, the nice thing, this is a relatively new land program addition for us in adding champagne. And of course, as you know, only champagne that comes from here can be called champagne, sparkling wine otherwise. And you're going to have the opportunity to go and visit Veuve Clicquot, Moët Chandon. You're also going to be able to go and see where Dom Perignon, the original monk, first planted his vineyard, a rather small plot, but every bottle of Dom Perignon has champagne that comes from that original plot of land that Dom Perignon first planted. So this will be a really interesting experience. And again, it's new for us. So you get to visit these wonderful champagne houses, Epernay as well, Hautvilliers, and so that is kind of cool. And then on your way to Paris, when you leave Reims and you're heading to Paris, we do have highlight tours with World War I sites, right? And the Beaulieu Wood American World War I monument, which is kind of interesting. Now you have an option too to do a TGV transfer to Paris if you'd rather do that. And so if you've not ridden on a TGV train, this might be something that you'd like to do, as so you can do that and head straight to Paris. And then you have Paris as a post land opportunity as well. If you don't want to do, again, Champagne, which I can't imagine you would want to do that, and you instead want to go straight to Paris, you can do that TGV transfer to Paris and do 3 nights there. And again, AMA Waterways cruise manager with you at that particular hotel. All right. Did you want to add something? I'm going to come back on camera here.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm back.
2 things I just want to recap. There are walking tours that are available in these locations, as Brian mentioned. On this particular itinerary, there are actually 3 hikes and 5 bike tours, guided bike tours. So I wanted to just make sure I discuss this again. I discussed it previously. These are trips for rather active travelers. It doesn't mean you know they're strenuous, but walking tours, hiking, biking, all of these type of more active trips, along with fitness activities on the riverboat with a fitness professional are available and included. So that's important to note. The other thing is I did hear you say wine tasting. I heard beer. I also heard coffee. So there are some culinary experiences here, both on the riverboat and off in the local areas.
Correct. Indeed. Thank you for that. Yeah. And the fact is that the bikes are these modified Dutch Flyers. So they're large circumference tires. They're very easy to ride. So even if you maybe have not, make bike riding a staple of something you do a lot of people do come to Europe and then they want to jump on a bike because that romantic notion of riding along the river. And again, yes, you'll have guides with you, so you don't have to feel self-conscious about either how slow or fast or whatever you're doing. But I showed this picture with the twin balcony accommodations. We're certainly known for this on particularly our newer ships that have come out over the last 5 or 6 years, even longer. But again, Amaluch, this being the vessel for October, these are a traditional balcony here with a table and a couple of chairs, which you can be out and enjoy the fresh air. And key, fresh air, people seemingly more inclined to want to have that fresh air. And this is a French balcony where sliding glass doors and just a rail there. So you have, that's why they're called signature twin balcony accommodations. This just is the living room, if you will, of the vessel. Kind of gives you an aesthetic feel for what our ships look like, which is more contemporary in design. And this is an area where you do spend a fair amount of time. There's lectures by the cruise manager.
Brian, there's a momentary lag with the slides. just be aware of that. Yeah, it's taking about 3 or 4 seconds for the slides to catch up with you.
Okay.
So
are we in the lounge
now?
Okay, good deal. Sorry about that.
No, it's
that
fine.
happens.
We were still on the stateroom, and you said this is the living room, and it was like, we're not quite there yet.
Not quite, yeah, that would be a small living room. This is the living, I mean, it's euphemistically referred to as the living room of the ship. Yes, the living space indeed. And the cruise manager, as I say, they give their nightly or every day they'll give a presentation here as to what's upcoming. And Jacintha mentioned the shore excursions. Yes, they're all included. And then you certainly pick and choose what it is you'd like to do. And that breaks up the ship's complement into much smaller groups of people, really never more than about 20 guests that go on a given excursion. This is just a little bit more about our food sorting. The last bullet point, no microwaves on board. Oh my gosh, when I think of the amount of things I microwave, and yet our ships don't even have microwaves, which is rather amazing. You can also go with the chefs to the local markets, the cage-free eggs, the crate-free pork, locally fresh caught fish, etc., etc. And everything is cooked daily. Nothing is frozen at all. We like to say we have freezers on board just for ice cream. My weakness is gluten, so I love the breads and pastries, and those are baked fresh every single night in our bakery. So those beautiful, thick European dense breads or the light pastries, the croissants, that kind of thing. I love this quote here. Anybody can make you enjoy the first bite, but only a real chef can make you enjoy the last, from Francois Minot. And that's Robert Kellerhals, our executive chef, who just won a very prestigious award in France. I forget the name of it, but he was fated for that, FETED, recognized for that. So yes, the food on board, and part of it has to do with being on a smaller vessel. It's like a small restaurant. And yeah, we are members of Chaîne de Rotisseur. We were invited to be members. And basically, if you're invited to be a member of Chaîne de Rotisseur, your gastronomic experience is par excellence across the board. And just let Jacintha know, if you have any special dietary needs, which these days, they're innumerable certain dietary needs, and then Jacintha will let us know, we let the ship know, and then there's no surprises. You can dine to your heart's content based on any particular dietary needs you might have. And then, yeah, we serve local wine and beer at lunch and dinner. There's mimosas in the morning, and every evening there is a cocktail party as well. And there are the yoga classes up on sun deck when the weather allows, and the fitness instructors, they're only there for that. They're not your waiter in the dining room at night and fitness and yoga during the day. No, they're strictly there as certified wellness instructors, and they do a wide variety of classes that people seem to enjoy, all optional, of course. So that's kind of nice as well. Bring your trunks, because ships have pools on board and they're heated. Even when you go further into the shoulder season or even at Christmas market time, the pools are heated, and you can sit there and have a glass of champagne, or in this case, the gentleman looks like he's having a beer there. There's a little bar there for you as well. So bring your trunks. And this is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, that is a swim up
That
bar
is a
on
little
the
swim up
top
bar.
sun deck. And I do want to, you're not seeing a full shot right now, but if you look at the ship, the entire top deck is a sun deck. There's a walking track. There is this swim up pool bar, and then there are fitness activities like the yoga that are done outside, open air, weather permitting, of course. So for a small vessel, there's quite a bit of amenities there.
Yeah, there's a workout facility, weight room, stationary bikes. There's also a salon, a beauty salon. There's a masseuse on board as well for massages. There's a little gift shop. So yeah, there are, like Jacintha says, a number of different accoutrements. So smaller is always good when it relates now to groups of people. And so what happens is, yes, people then break up into much smaller groups, and it's actually at a pace level that many of our excursions are done at either gentle, regular, or active, plus even late risers. If you want to sleep in a little and go a little bit later, you can do that. The key is that you'll be able to have these are included, right? And so you just pick and choose what it is you'd like to do, and then you go out with your small group and go ahead and do that. Plus you can explore on your own if you want. That's available to you as well. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the offers here. So now the departure date talking about with earlier is obviously vineyards of the Rhine and the Moselle. That's the end of October into early November. There is this departure of Treasures of the Main and the Rhine, different itinerary, Ama Prima, November 9 to 16. So a little later in the season. If you decide that's one of interest for this year, later this year, coming up in what, 6 months or so, then we're offering for webinar attendees only, because this is what happened over this last 15 months. We decided to offer incentives for people that came to the webinars or come to the webinars, 2 for 1, 2 for the price of 1, buy one, get one. You do have to make your reservation with Jacintha by the end of this month. So you have another, what is today, the 20th, so another 11 days, right? So otherwise, if that's not going to work for you, you also have the opportunity to book anything through next year and even into 23 by the end of May. So, and again, another 11 days to save an additional $100 per person. So I wonder, what does the reservation entail? It entails making a $400 per person deposit, $400 per person, and then final payment is at 90 days prior. 3 months prior is the final payment time. And of course, we already talked a little bit about the different peace of mind or flexibility programs that you can talk with Jacintha about as it relates to your investment. We want you to feel comfortable with that. So that's the 2 for 1 offer. And we, as a rule, we're not a company that delves into, as part of our marketing strategy, 2 for 1s. Some companies, that's their market. They jack the price way up and then say, yes, 2 for 1. You know, that's their marketing strategy. That's not ours. So
I can also second that. There are other river cruise lines that will routinely quote prices that are actually double and then tell you that they have a 2 for 1 or 50% off offer. This is a legitimate 2 for 1 or 50% off. The regular rates, which are realistic rates, they're not inflated rates. So he is absolutely correct. I can say that as someone who does not work for the cruise line. I'm independent of that. So I can assure you of that. Right. This is a different date and a different itinerary. I just wanted to mention that on the Vineyards of Rhine and Moselle for the October date, there are a couple of promotions. I've talked to some of the attendees about this already. If we have not had a chance to chat about it individually, I can send you the itinerary and discuss those with you separately. However, everyone that is attending will get the $100 per person discount on any cruise for this year and next year. It does not have to be either one of these itineraries.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. So we just want to reward you for making a reservation. And again, it can be, yeah, it can be anything. So thank you for that comment, Jacintha. And yeah, it's just not something we do as a matter of course, but we started doing these 2 for 1s because we were doing so many of these webinars. We thought, well, at first it was just show nice pictures, and then it evolved into last fall offering these 2 for 1s. So
Actually,
good news.
I think this would be a good place for me to just comment on something else, because Alma Waterways is a 5-star premium river cruise line. I've said previously in webinars that I've experienced it myself as a regular passenger. I did not tell the staff who I was, so I didn't get any special treatment. They do deliver exactly what they say they deliver, and they meet my criteria. If you've worked with me, you know that the hallmarks of everything I recommend are high quality and high value. So this definitely meets that criteria. And the advantage to going later this year, if we're talking late October or early November, is that it will be less crowded. We are talking about smaller vessels. We're talking about smaller groups on the tours. Pre-COVID, it would have been a maximum of 20 people, but now, you know, we're not looking at full ships. We're not looking at full tour groups. So places will be less crowded. And Amsterdam, as many of you know as world travelers, has had a serious concern with over-tourism pre-COVID, just being inundated with too many people in the peak summer vacation months, and a lot of concern about that. If you are prepared to travel sooner rather than later, then there are advantages to that in terms of places not being as overrun, let's be serious, not as crowded. So it will be a reward for people that are comfortable traveling. And we're not telling you to do that. It's up to you. If you're really, you know, more comfortable looking at 2020, I know some of you already have trips planned for next year. That's perfectly okay too.
Yeah, very good points, Jacintha. And frankly, the fall is my favorite time to cruise in Europe, and partly because I do like it when it is less crowded, just to be candid. And then typically you get better value for the dollar going sort of a shoulder season or fall, if you will. But there's so much appeal. And actually, all 4 seasons are nice. My own particular favorite, as I say, is during the fall in this particular time frame. And so everything you say is absolutely correct. And frankly, I don't think we're going to fill the ships this fall. And there may even be a limit set by last year, the limit was 100 guests when we cruised in the summer with the Jacintha, and it's likely that that'll still be the case. We start up again here this summer. So again, lots of interesting sort of factual tidbits there to kind of think about as far as potentially going this year. If you're going to go next year, right? Let me tell you that, and this is any kind of travel, because I'm hearing it, and probably Jacintha is too, from all different companies. 2022 is going to be gangbusters because of us having been hunkered down for so long and maybe not necessarily overly comfortable still going this year, although hopefully there's an incentive here for you. But 22, our advanced bookings as a combination of people that have rolled over to next year, who are going to cruise earlier this year, and new bookings, off the charts historical. So I can say without any equivocation, and I'm not like the used car guy where I'm going to throw in the floor mats today. If you make your reservation, you know, you buy the car today, you get the floor mat. No, I'm telling you that because river ships are much smaller, and because of what I just mentioned, our 2022 reservations are historical in terms of the percent that we have booked right now. So now is a really good time to be thinking about booking for next year, for sure. And some of the other, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that one of the attendees, who I won't name, and I had a discussion about next year for Europe, and she had wanted a specific, I had recommended a specific date, and it was sold out for what she wanted. So we had to actually go to a second date in May of next year, already sold out for the first choice. We had to move to a second choice. So I can't emphasize enough that if you are thinking about next year particularly, you know, take a look at it, make a decision. A small deposit will hold whatever you're interested in. But what I am finding, even for this year, for summer, because people are now starting to want to go somewhere they haven't been able to in 2020 and for much of 21, if they're wanting to go somewhere domestically, and I was looking at Hawaii, forget about next month. Someone called me wanting to leave in 3 weeks. Couldn't make it happen. We had to look at July. Not a great, not a lot of availability, not a lot of great choices. So, you know, I'm already seeing this issue with space not being available, best choices gone first, you know, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're shopping the clearance rack, basically the leftovers, you know, whatever wasn't snapped up. So it's important to look at the information. I know some attendees already have something confirmed for next year, but for those of you that haven't quite decided yet, there's a lot of great options and great promotions right now.
Indeed, absolutely. And these are just a few here in terms of things that are tactical offers in the marketplace. There's always tactical offers, as what they're called, sales efforts on our part. One thing I will mention here, we're seeing a huge trend of people that want to do back to back. So this particular promotion came out as a result of us seeing this trend with their travel advisors. And you know, they want to do this river, but guess what? They want to tack on another river. So we're offering, when people do decide to do back to back on the second departure on each consecutive cruise, an additional 10% savings, which is a nice savings. And that's actually good through the end of this year. These other ones that are coming to an end here at the end of this month. But you might want to think about that because there are wonderful opportunities to combine rivers, right? And so we actually have an algorithm. All you have to do is let Jacintha know kind of maybe which river you want to start on, maybe the time frame. Our tech wizards in Calabasas, where we're headquartered in Southern California, they literally came up with this algorithm that has 17,000 combinations. You're not going to hear about all 17,000, obviously, but suffice it to say that if you give Jacintha an idea, then she will work with us to come up with a real cool program where you can combine river cruises, because that's what people, the trend is now. They want to go for longer because they've been so long locked up, right? So interesting situation there. Plus, we have solo traveler specials. We always welcome solo travelers. And so to get a balcony, it's only a 25% additional solo surcharge to be in a double occupancy cabin and have those balconies, or it's only 10% on those fixed window accommodations. So we love to have our solo travelers with us on board as well. So yes, we do look forward to welcoming you on board. No question about it. We're going to hear later today, at least internally at the company, and again tomorrow in our town hall, and we're going to be coming out officially and say, when are we starting up again? And it's going to be very soon. My guess is it'll be in July, probably in France and in Portugal, and then maybe in August we'll roll out to some of the other rivers in Germany and other places, right? And then full swing for sure by September, October, we'll be back in the game big time. So that's exciting. So now, let me just see if we have any questions.
If you could take a look at questions. I just wanted to make one more comment, because we have done a series of webinars. If you have missed the previous sessions, we do have one on the 5 regions of France. We did one on Portugal and Spain, another one on Central Europe, which was Austria, Germany, and Hungary, one on Egypt and the Nile River, and then one for South Africa, Botswana, and the Chobe River for Africa. Those are all archived. If you would like a link to those recordings, let me know. And then Brian, do we have any questions, comments?
No questions or comments at this point, but that's okay, because we've been rather effusive in everything we've talked about today. And of course, thank you, Jacintha, again for doing these series of webinars. I think the only one we've missed may be the Mekong in Vietnam. And so we're actually going to hear about the Mekong, I think, later today and tomorrow as to when we are going to start up again on the Mekong. And that's, of course, Vietnam and Cambodia. And it combines with land programs both in Hanoi.
It's wonderful. Yeah. So are you saying we may have a return engagement in number 8?
Why not?
So I will tell the attendees that I have actually looked at this Rhine Moselle itinerary myself. I am interested in the October date. I am considering it quite seriously as well, because like all of you, I have been staying home, staying safe, staying healthy, and I have not left the county of Sacramento in quite a long time, since November of 2019. So I'm also thinking about where I would like to get out to. And I know, excuse me, there are several people looking at the date for October, but again, it is available in 2022. And I wanted to mention there is a special event in Amsterdam. There is the Floriade, which is an international flower and garden exhibition that only happens once every 10 years. And it will be taking place April through October of 2022. So that will be something that is available on that Amsterdam segment. If that's something you're particularly interested in, keep that in mind. As I said, once every 10 years, and it's going to be next year. And that's, I think that's all I have to add. Brian, is there anything else? Anyone else post a question?
We have two nice comments. Yeah, Cindy said, you guys are the perfect team. Can't wait to cruise with Amma next year and possibly this year too. Thank you, Cindy. You're always so kind with your comments. We really appreciate it. It makes our day. And then Diane, thank you. Love the presentation. Thank you, Diane. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to, who knows, maybe we will do the Mekong next. But in any event, thank you, Jacintha. Thank you to all of you. And certainly be in touch. The end of May is kind of the next 11 days are sort of the date to think about as far as some of these offers that we're making. So thank you, Jacintha, and thank you, everybody. And
thank you, Brian.
Be well. Looking forward to leaving the virtual world and getting out into the real world.
Yeah,
all right.
On some real getaways, not virtual vacations anymore. That's where we need to transition. So thank you all for attending today. Contact me if you would like information, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye for now.